welcome to the FarmBits podcast.
FarmBits is proudly produced by the Nebraska Digital Agriculture team and hosted by the students at the University of Nebraska.
The FarmBits podcast comes to you each week to discuss the trends, the realities, and the value of digital agriculture.
Through interviews with experts, producers, and innovators from across the agriculture industry, we hope that you step away from each episode with new practical knowledge of digital agriculture technology.
Hello, FarmBits followers, and welcome to another episode of the FarmBits podcast. I'm Jose Cesario.
And I am Deepak. We are glad to have you with us as we begin diving into the topic of digital pest management.
Today, we are joined by Carlos Pizolotto, plant pathologist at the CCGL. CCGL has developed technology to help with digital pest management for farmers in Brazil. With that, let's jump into this episode with Carlos.
My name is Carlos Pizolotto. I am a PI in plant pathology at CCGL. So CCGL is a Central Cooperative Gaúcha. Gaúcha means like something or someone that comes from Rio Grande do Sul state, So I am from Brazil, I have been working with disease management and predictive models, Here in Brazil, the most important crops are soybean, corn, and wheat, and I have been working with these crops. So I am an agronomist engineer. I got my master's and my PhD in plant protection, and I spent two years in the United States in University of Idaho, where I was a postdoc fellow, and I have been working with potato late blight. Okay, so it's a little bit about me.
Yeah, that sounds very interesting. Like regarding your education background and your current works. So, can you please provide us some more overview about the CCGL and RTC and what works currently are being carried out from these cooperatives?
Sure. So CCGL is considered one of the largest cooperatives in Brazil. It has more than 171,000 growers. And to help make its activities more competitive, members have support from units, specialized in applied technologies in farming, logistics, and dairy products. Okay. So here in CCGL, we have three different units. Okay, so the first unit is logistic unit. Okay, the logistic unit of CCGL consists of Termasa and the Tergrasa terminals. So it's responsible for the receipt, the storage, and the dispatch of agricultural bulk goods at the Rio Grande port. Okay, so together the terminals handle around 14 to 15% of the exports of Brazilian soybeans and 52% of grain in Rio Grande do Sul. Okay. The second unit is the technology unit. That unit I have been working. Okay. So this unit carries out experiments and developments and disseminating agricultural technology. Okay, and practice to help rural farms or growers to be sustainable and profitable. Okay, and we have another unit that's a dairy product unit. Okay, so we have been working with milk too. So CCGL is the largest company that works with a powder milk, in the Latin America. Okay, so we have a capacity to work with like around 3 million liters of milk per day. Okay, so here we have three different units. Okay, I have been working in the technology unit. In this case, we have the RTC. So what means RTC is like a cooperative technical network. Okay, So we have been working with 30 different cooperatives, okay? So why we have this cooperative technical network? To provide information, to generate science, to help these cooperatives, you know, to take the best decisions in the field. Like in my area, for example, I have been working with fungicide, you know. So we carry out the same experiment in different cities in Brazil, you know, in different fields, okay, to assess the, you know, these different fungicides to control the main diseases in soybean, like Asian soybean rust, powder mildew, you know. So it's a little bit about the RTC.
That's amazing, Carlos. That's a great overview, and it's nice how the co-op can diversify the areas that they've been working. And you mentioned about the region of Brazil where you are at is south of Brazil, right? Could you
Yes.
describe a little bit for our listeners about this region? How is the temperature there, the precipitation? How does this affect the environment for the agriculture?
Sure. So my state, Rio Grande do Sul, you know, it's located in the southernmost part of the country, you know. So here is the first day of the spring, you know, today. So I will talk a little bit about our summer, you know, just it's the second summer in row that we have a bad conditions for crops, you know, just it's pretty dry, you know, and then not too much rain. So like for soybean, that's the most important crop here in Rio Grande do Sul. We had 2 bad years, you know, so like we are waiting that it can improve, you know, a little bit in the spring, and we can have a little bit more rain, you know, just because in this season, you know, just we are going to grow wheat, you know, that's another important crop for us.
Okay, that sounds like a very diverse and a very like environment very affected by climatic conditions, and hope like the spring, the rain brings some hope to the farmers affected by the bad dry summers. So on that context, you previously mentioned that soybean is one of the most important crops. What other crops are very important to the farmers in this region of the Brazil, and what is the common kind of crop rotation that the farmers practice?
Okay, that's a interesting question because in Brazil, we used to grow soybean and corn in the summer season, and the winter season used to grow wheat, canola, and the rapeseed. Okay, so generally, growers used to grow wheat in the winter time and soybean or corn in the summertime. Okay.
That's interesting. We do have some of these crops here, right, Deepak?
Oh yeah.
More corn, right, in Nebraska, but
Sure. Yeah.
I'll try to diversify a little bit. So based on that, Carlos, what are the primary disease that the farmers face problem managing these crops on this region?
Okay, so that's important to say. In Brazil, we have been working since 80s to 90s into 90s with a no-tillage system, you know. So the first thing that the growers in the south of Brazil should pay attention is about the necrotrophic fungus, you know. Like in Brazil, the 2 most important necrotrophic fungus, they are Cercospora kikuchi and the Septoria glycinis. So Cercospora kikuchi causes Cercospora leaf blight, and the Septoria glycinis causes Septoria brown spot. So generally, growers should pay attention for these diseases in our system, you know, in the no-tillage system.
Okay, that brings us like towards more disease and what farmers should be careful while growing these different kind of crops. So on this note, like, can you please mention like what are some of the traditional methods that are being used by farmers for monitoring crop diseases?
Okay, so I think that the most important thing that we need to say here that in Brazil it's pretty new, you know, just to use spore trapping and predictive models to take a decision, you know. When I come back to Brazil from the United States, I introduced or I set up a new project here in the south of Brazil to monitor this disease. Okay, so here in Brazil, you know, in the south of Brazil, we have 25 spore sites to monitor the inoculum, you know. So the idea is to monitor this inoculum for some diseases and use this data in a predictive models to help growers to take a decision, you know, to spray fungicide or not. Okay, so I would say that that's pretty new in Brazil, you know, just using predictive models. But we are using now spore trapping to monitor this disease.
That's amazing, Carlos. And for these models that the co-op that you're working have been using, what are the main factors that these models considers? Like it's based on weather. What kind of prediction does these models do?
Right. That's a good question, Jose. You know, in these predictive models, we are using some weather data, you know, temperature, humidity, rain, you know. This is very important because we are using observed weather data and the forecasting weather data. You know, we are using or we are assessing the IBM weather data. You know, so they bring some forecasting data for the south of Brazil. You know, and we combine in these models observed weather data, forecasting weather data, and observed data. You know, about spores. You know, so we combine these three different data to generate these predictive models.
Okay, could you just explain for those who are not familiar what's the IBM weather that you mentioned?
Okay, IBM weather data is like the service that IBM provide for us. You know, just they you know provide for us the forecasting data for the next 14 days. Okay, and we use this data in our predictive models. You know, just the issue is we need to work with predictive models to help growers to take a decision. You know, sometimes to spray or not, or to decide what kind of fungicide he should use in its spray. You know.
Great, thanks.
Yeah, that sounds really interesting. Like using the future weather data provided by IBM and then building them into the predictive models. On this note, how accurate like these predictive models are, and how assured can the farmers be on the results of this predictive modeling?
Okay, we have been working with three different predictive models. I mean, we have predictive models for three different diseases. The first one is Asian soybean rust, you know, for soybean. Another one, Fusarium head blight for wheat, and wheat blast for rice. Okay, so generally we are using this kind of models just for the south of Brazil, just for Rio Grande do Sul state. Okay, the accuracy of the model generally is going to 85 to 90%. Okay.
Oh, that's great. So I bet it can help a lot of farmers to decisions in advantage.
Yeah, that's the main idea.
This disease. And how can these models be integrated with the real-time spore monitoring data for more effective predictions?
Okay. The main idea is we are using the predictive models, you know, to predict the disease. But the thing is, when we combine the spore data, observe the weather data, and the forecast metadata, we have the disease prediction, okay? So we need to use the data coming from spore trapping to validate, you know, because the model is predicting the disease. You know, it's creating a spore cloud, you know, and we need to validate this one. So we use the spore trapping to validate this spore cloud that the model is creating, okay? So when growers use this technology, they can be more accurate or more assertive to take the decision to spray fungicide. You know, I can give an example for you guys. When I was in Idaho, you know, working for University of Idaho, I set up, you know, just a spore trapping network, okay, in 25 cities across Idaho, okay, in 25 spore sites. And we reduce the number of sprays in potato, you know, to control late blight, okay? So how we reduce the number of sprays? Because when you use a technology like a predictive model, you are more accurate, you know, just like, you know, the time or the exact or the best time to spray the fungicide, okay? So the issue is, when you use like a spore trapping, you know if you have or not spores in the area, right? And another point is you are collecting some potato leaves, okay? Bring to the lab, extracting DNA, and applying a qPCR, you know, to identify the fungus DNA, okay? So using both technologies, you know, spore monitoring and collecting leaves and extracting DNA, we could detect the disease around 20 days before the visual symptoms in the field. Okay, so this is the idea, you know, using this kind of technologies to bring to growers the risk of the disease in the field.
So does these models, they give like a window of time that these growers could potentially spray some fungicides to avoid the disease, for example?
Right. Because these kind of models that we are working, they provide the risk of the disease in 3 different levels, you know. I try to explain a little bit, you know, just if you go to our website, you know, just the name is Smart Coop. And so if you go to Smart Coop, you see a map of Rio Grande do Sul state, and you can see 3 different colors in the map, you know. This map is bringing the risk of the disease for the next 5 days, for example, okay? Then, when you see the green color, it's a low risk for disease occurrence, okay? When you see the yellow color, it's the medium risk, you know? And you see the red color, you have the right risk, okay? So growers can take a decision to spray or not, you know, or improve the quality of the fungicide program, you know, using this kind of models.
Oh, that's amazing. So that's all for the growers that been participating on the co-op with you, right?
Right. And the nice thing, Jose, you know, just we developed a website that is, the name is SmartCo, okay? So just growers from the 30 cooperatives that work with us can have access of the information, you know?
Oh, that's great.
So, yeah, so all growers, you know, that belong to different cooperatives can see the disease risk for their regions, you know. So that's cool, you know, that's cool, you know, bring this kind of information for growers.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's really important how this extension can help the growers around the state.
Yeah, that's really awesome. It's like having an idea of what disease might occur 20 days in advance will provide ample time for preparation of like either spraying or any other preventive measures. That's really awesome. So on that note, like what are some of the challenges that are associated with using models for spore monitoring?
Okay, the idea is just the challenge is, I think the main one, growers use it, because some growers, they have some resistance to accept this kind of idea, because it's a little bit hard to understand about, just the first thing, you can't see a spore, you need a microscope to see a spore, Another thing, growers, they should go to the field, scout in the field, and when they see some visual symptom of the disease, they are going to spray. But the thing is, when you see the visual symptom, you are already losing yield, So I think that the challenge is to say to grower, just you should use this kind of technology because you are going to be more assertive to spray fungicide in the correct moment. You don't need follow your fungicide calendar. Just like you have this technology. And this technology can help you to take the best decision. Just the thing is, nowadays we have a fixed number of fungicide sprays, and the decision support systems or the warning systems are as effective as a calendar-based programs in reduce disease incidence. Just so I think that the challenge is to say to growers to use this technology.
Mm-hmm. Now that's important. And you mentioned about this decision of spraying the fungicide based on these modelings, but besides that, the window that these models can give for the growers to avoid the disease contamination, does these models give any sort of the quantity that they should apply as well, or
No,
even the fungicide that they should use?
No. It's bringing the risk of the disease occurrence. Just it's like a prediction. So the main idea is to help the grower to take a decision when to spray. Just like to be to be more assertive.
And then based on that, they pick the fungicide that they want to use, and right. Okay, no, that's great. And you mentioned also that they have access to the smart co-op, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and how do they have access to it, or does the co-op provide any training for that, or is pretty user-friendly that they can just access a website? How does that work?
Yeah, right. Just that's a good question. Because we are training the technicians, that works for each cooperative to help growers to have an access in SmartCo. So like the first step is when a grower is interested to have an access in SmartCo, he should go to the cooperative and require an access. Just you need a login and a password. So just they will create for you, and you can access the SmartCo. So in the SmartCo, you can find a different information like forecasting, weather forecasting. Just like just another things about what kind of fungicides you can spray, to keep your crop safe, and you can consult this kind of predictive models.
So my understanding is only the members of the co-op can have access to the data, right?
Yes, right.
So on that note, like, what do you think is the potential or feasibility of scaling this project to maybe other regions of Brazil, or maybe like to other parts of the different countries, what do you think, like if this model or if this predictive modeling can be actually like scaled to other regions within Brazil and abroad? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I will talk about a little bit the Asian soybean rust, because it's the most important disease in soybean for us, in Brazil. So the main idea working with cooperatives here is not to provide the information for another states, The main idea is work for our cooperatives, So, but, just like people from Paraguay, people from another states, they require access, just they said, oh, we would like to use this technology, So just in the first moment, we are working just for our cooperatives, But I think that is like it's pretty important, when we are going to disseminate this technology, because it's impacted directly, in the to have a good yield, to manage disease, So who knows, in the future we can share the information with another states, and who knows, with another countries. The thing is, Smart Coop is growing very well. Just we developed this website in 2021. So it's right now we have around 8,000 growers using this technology, and and we have another 26,000 growers waiting to access. They are ready to access the website. Just they are receiving some kind of training to access the website. So I think that it's growing very fast, and it's nice because we can provide for growers good information, to help them to take a good decision or right decision to management disease.
Wow, that's impressive. I think it would be really nice to scale this up and help other growers.
Yeah.
You can think about a lot of regions, even here in US, that could be benefit from this kind of predictive models. And you mentioned about some impacts that can have on the growers' yield. And could you quantify the farmers' benefits in terms of profits and yields using this model?
Right. In my opinion, Jose, just nowadays, I think that across the world, just people are asking for a sustainable agricultural system, So and they have several key principles to reduce the pesticide use, fostering the adoption of prevention measures, non-chemical control methods, and the chemical compounds with lower environment impacts, So when we bring this kind of technology, just introducing for growers this kind of system, when we can work with predictive diseases, we are impacting directly the reality of the growers. So like the first thing is reduce the number of sprays. When you reduce the number of sprays, you are having a more health product. Just you are reducing the pesticide in the soil, in the environment. Just like I think that's the main issue. Just reduce the number of sprays. Reduce the number of pesticide sprays in the soil and environment. Bring like a health food for people. More health food for people.
Yeah, and as a result, they would be also saving money, right? On this.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah. That's true. Just like I am thinking about the, the nature, the soil, the environment, but save money. Just when you cut one spray, you are saving money.
Yeah, for sure.
You're right.
Yeah, of course. Either ecologically or economically, like everything that counts towards reduction of the pesticides, its savings. And on that note, like, have you like accounted for maybe taking into account like the actual economics of how much actually goes into savings when using the predictive modeling kind of package, or like do you have any economics data accounted or any success story that farmers might have shared with you and that you want to share to our listeners?
Okay, yeah, I'll give an example about the Fusarium head blight. That's a pretty common disease in wheat in the south of Brazil, because generally, our spring, it's pretty rainy, So the thing is, the Fusarium head blight is a disease, that affected the wheat spike, So we should spray fungicide to control this disease, right? So we are using the predictive model, to be more assertive. I mean, when you should spray fungicide, So generally, growers have a fungicide spray calendar, like they have some interval in each 15 days or in each 20 days, I need spray, right? So when you are using a predictive model, it will provide an information for you. It will say you should spray or you should not spray, right? So in this case, for example, sometimes we need to spray 2 times to control Fusarium head blight. Okay, for sure it depends the wheat variety, the weather condition, But generally, when you have like a rainy spring, they spray 2 times. Okay, but using this tool, you can be more assertive, or what the moment you should spray, And sometimes you can spray just 1 time instead of 2, so you can save some money, right?
Yeah, that would be half, right? Already. First,
Yeah.
1 instead of 2. And are there any ethicals or environmental concerns associated with this using of the modeling for monitoring, for example?
I don't think so, Jose, because the idea to use predictive models is just to reduce the number of spray, just to have, as I said before, to have a more healthy food, and to reduce the contamination of the environment. So I think that's a nice tool, because it helps you to have the best decision when to spray the fungicide, and in this way you are reducing the pesticide, in the environment, in the soil.
Yeah, that really sounds impressive. And as we are talking here about the predictive models, we learned that the spore monitoring is one of the fundamentals input into the model. So how can, again, like the modeling be used to inform and improve the development of new spore monitoring technologies?
Right. I can give an example again, just here in Brazil, we are using a spore trapping that it has a pump, and this pump sucks air, just like sucks an amount of air, and when it sucks air, it's sucking spores, And inside the machine, you have a glass slide, the same glass slide that you use in a microscope in a lab, And in this glass slide, we have 1 square centimeter surface, and this surface is covered like just a Vaseline, a petroleum jelly, So all these spores stay adherent, in the surface. So in each 7 days, we remove this glass slide, bring to the lab to count the number of spores, and we use this information in a spreadsheet, to feed the model, in Idaho, we are working with a more fancy spore trapping, what means like we had a Bucard one. The Bucard is more advanced spore trapping. So why it's more advanced? Because it's like a compact unit, you know, with built in a vacuum pump designed to sample airborne particles, you know, but it can monitoring the spores per day, different of the spore trap that I'm using in Brazil that monitor the spores per week. You know, we need 7 days. And when you monitor spores in each day, you know, you are more assertive, you know, just like you can have you can like you can have a more you can have more accuracy in your model, you know, just you can fit it better, you know.
Yeah, for sure. And when you say that this model from Idaho can predict, it can check the spores once a day, do you still have to go there every day and check this?
No. It's nice because you can, you know, you can imagine a situation. It has like a carousel, you know, just and you have like 7 different microvials, okay, like an Eppendorf tube, okay, and the machine works 24 hours and stop. So 8 a.m. the next day, he moved for the next microvial, you know, for the next Eppendorf, you know. So you need to go to the field after 7 days and catch the 7 microtubes or microvials that you use, you know, and replace for the 7 new one. Okay. And then you bring to the microvials to the lab, you know, extract the DNA, you know, and you know, like run a qPCR, and you have like how many femtograms of DNA per microliter that you have. So you can convert the femtograms per microliter in numbers of spores. You know, if you know how many femtograms each spores have, so you can like make a calculation, you know, to know, for example, how many spores you have.
So still both of these, the Idaho and the one from Brazil, you gotta bring to the lab to analyze. And,
for sure,
right?
Sure.
And can you, since you touch base on the qPCR, could you just explain for those who are not familiar with that, maybe for our listeners?
Okay.
What, just like
so
idea of.
Okay, the thing is, here in Brazil, we are not working with qPCR. Okay, we are bringing the glass slide that I said before to the lab, you know, and the reading, you know, the glass slide to count the number of spores. Okay, in Idaho and the Kansas, you know, just during the time that I was in Kansas in the doctor's tech lab, we are using qPCR. So the qPCR is a more curated method. Why? Because imagine the situation. You are in the lab, you know, and you need access like 30 glass slides, you know, just you know, just in the end of the day, your eyes, they are pretty tired, you know, just like because you are trying to find like a small particle. You should find a spore, you know, so it's hard. So when you work with a qPCR, you are more assertive because we extract the DNA, you know, and you apply specific primers to identify just the DNA of the fungus that you are looking for, you know. For example, we are monitoring Phacops pachyhisi here, you know, so we need to find the spores of Phacops pachyhisi in the slide, in the glass slide, okay? When you work with qPCR, we extract the DNA of the you know, just the solution, you know, and you apply specific primers to identify the DNA of the Phacops pachyhisi. You know?
It's just a machine that can.
Yeah, the machine do everything, you
Okay,
know.
great.
So it's more like accurate, and it's pretty fast, you know.
Mhm.
You don't need to read the glasses light, you know.
Great, thanks.
Yeah, that really sounds interesting. Of course, like having the opportunity or having provided with advanced equipments, the research and like everything gets easy and like more impactful, I guess. So I think like we might edit this later as well, but I think since we talked a lot about spores, so maybe I'll just ask a question like, and then maybe we can explain, and then we might edit this later. For those of our listeners who are unfamiliar about the spores, can you please explain what are they and why are they important in agriculture?
Okay, it is a reproductive cell, you know. I mean, it's able to produce a new individual, either by developing by itself or after fusion with another spore, you know, just like it's a reproductive cell. Okay, so like it can generate another spore, another fungal, you know.
Yeah, no, that's great. And what are your thoughts on how the future of digital pest management will look like? What kind of improvements do you see in the future?
I think that in the United States, you know, just I have been working with Idaho yet, you know, just we have some projects with University of Ohio, you know, yeah, and the thing is, I think that in the United States, you guys, you are more advanced in this way, you know, comparing with us in Brazil. But I think that now, I think that we don't need think about the future, no, because I think that this technology is the present now, you know, like when I arrived in Brazil and I talk to the people about this one and say, oh, well, that's nice, you know, that's impressive. But, you know, just like the thing is, we need to use this technology to take the right decision, you know, just we can't, you know, keep following the fungicide calendar, you know, or the fungicide spray calendar, you know. We need to use this kind of technology, you know, just predictive models, spore monitoring, or collect the leaves, bring to the lab, extract the DNA, run a qPCR to try to identify the fungus DNA, you know. So I think that I think in some years, you know, just around the world in every place, we are going to use this kind of technology. You know, as I said before, people they are asking for a healthy world, you know, a healthy agriculture, and you know, we need to reduce the number of fungicide spray, the herbicide spray, you know, and also, you know, in my opinion, everything is changing. You know, look to the market right now. You know, just they are you know, they are surfing a new wave, you know, that's the biological wave, you know. So in Brazil we are working too much with biological control also, you know, using bacillus, trichoderma to control some diseases, you know. So I think that the things are changing pretty fast, you know, but I think that in some years, in a couple of years, every place we are going to use the predictive models, you know, in the agricultural area.
Yeah, that sounds really impressive. Like I think along with these kind of tools and modeling tools and the advancement of cameras and sensors and integrating all of these into modeling to bring back out like some useful guide and some useful control measures to the farmers will be really helpful to the agriculture industry.
And so our very last question here at the FarmBits, we have this tradition of asking a piece of advice from our guests. So what advice do you have for our listeners who want to use these predictive models for pest management?
Right. Oh, just I think that everybody should try, one time, just to see. For sure, just some growers prefer to go to the field, as I said before, scouting the crop, to see if they find some visual symptom, if they find disease, But I think that we need to give the next step, just we need to give to use these predictive models, try to reduce the number of sprays, try to be more assertive, just about the time to spray fungicide, and also to save money, just like we need to try to bring for the growers more profitable, so I think that's it.
Thank you very much to Carlos Pizolotto for taking the time to join this episode of the FarmBits podcast. It's really exciting to learn about the prediction of disease occurrence using models and the power that it can bring to farmers in terms of disease management. One of my favorite parts of this episode and what this company is doing is that with the help of the predictive models offered by the team, farmers are able to know about the disease occurrence around 20 days in advance of appearance of visual symptoms.
Yeah, I agree with you, Deepak. I also think that these technologies can really help farmers to save on fungicide applications as well as improve yields and be more sustainable. I hope you enjoyed that episode, and we look forward to sharing another digital ag story with you next week on FarmBits.
Okay.
Thank you for taking the time to join us today on the FarmBits podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to the podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, or wherever you're listening to podcasts to be informed about the latest content each week.
We welcome your feedback. So if you have comments or questions for us, please reach out to us over email, on Twitter, or in the reviews section of your favorite podcast platform. Our contact information can be found in the show notes.
We would like to thank Nebraska Extension for their support of this podcast and their commitment to providing high-quality informational material to members of the agriculture community in Nebraska and beyond.
The opinions expressed by the host and guest on this podcast are solely their own and do not reflect the views of Nebraska Extension or the University of Nebraska-Lincoln.
We look forward to you joining us next week for another episode of the FarmBits.